Hockey Nation friends, welcome back to the Hockey Nation live show with Coach Frenchy directly from the booth, and of course, directly from the West Coast, Michael Devellano.
Oh my God. What are
Sending
we on the Gong Show
for
now?
you, Michael. Sending ovation for you this morning. Here we go. Thursday, November 12th, 2020. We are quiet. Never been before, I think, in the
Your mic.
NHL. Crazy what's going on around, but we have a big meeting today between the NHL, PA, and of course the NHL. I have a chance to watching more and follow Elliot Freeman last night, and really interesting. He expect between 56 games to 72 games between both of them, between the team.
No.
They learn from the MLB and also from the NFL. If they start a season, they have to add a gap of 2 or 3 weeks for cancellation game or something could happen during the season because COVID could be, be a part of one specific team. Example, missing 4 or 5 players, and the team cannot play this weekend, and they have to move on the next, change the schedule, everything like that. So to talk about this, the second thing to talk about maybe a bubble area because what happening right now. First of all, also most of the owners want their fans back in the building.
Yeah, but
But the problem is, it's not all the state have the right to do that, right? Some other state you cannot.
you keep cutting out on your mic for some reason.
I do.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. So
I don't
yes.
in a way, but it cuts out.
Hold on. Let me check something here.
Sorry.
Is it better now?
You're good.
So anyway, what happening right now is many owners want their fans back in the building. Some of them cannot do it because the state cannot allow any fans in the. You can see in NFL like Seattle have no fans, but you can go here in Florida we have fans in the building, right? So would be interesting what happening over there. The second thing he explained, you're almost right about the salary. So they have already it's not a big major problem. They play one game or 56 game or 72 game example. What they do, they take 10% of their salary out. Then they have another 20% of escrow. And so they have 72% of the salary is going to be paid whenever they play one game to 46, 80 game, whatever it is. And thirdly, the player want to play.
Yeah, they want to play. They don't want to sit around. They're normally playing this time of year.
Yeah. So they want to go back. They want to have
They also said, we don't care how many games you play. We're getting that 70%.
So they want to go back. They want to play. So it would be interesting. They try to push for January 1st. So that would be something you have to look about this. So they're still talking about maybe bubble area, but not like Toronto, Edmonton, but something like that.
I think they have to do that, right? I think, the thing is, can you put any stands or people in the stands? I think you can. I think that you can spread them out. Yeah. But you got Lockdown Joe here in the States, so now he's saying he's gonna do a 4 to 6 week lockdown as soon as he becomes president. So then what do you do?
You move in Canada. Just kidding. But
you are correct, except that Trudeau is the same.
Yeah.
Right now, Toronto's on lockdown. BC is on lockdown, and they have no numbers. So it's just really confusing, I think, for them to project. What do we do? Does this thing not start till February, March?
The problem behind that, Michael, is if you push in March, now you push everything again to another season.
I get it.
So it's confusing for everybody right now. We'll see. At some point, I don't want to talk more because I'm getting frustrated to talk about this.
No, it's games, right? It's politics, and they're trying to figure out the same thing. So I think every regional area is a little different. You have the U.S.-Canada effect, like you mentioned. We're in the same boat in the WHL. I mean, we don't know what's going on, so
Yep. I want to give you a list of the free agent right now on the board, and I want you to give us a little bit like what you will do with those kind of players if you have a chance to sign them, or if you would like to sign them. I'll give you about like we have still 40 of them, but let's move on with it. You have Mike Hoffman on the board.
He's a very consistent point producer. I think he's obviously got to be in a supporting role where you can still play him top 6 on power play. You don't love him 5-on-5, so you're probably going to sign him for 1 to 2 years and maybe give him $4 to $5 million. And I think the place for him, I still think Columbus. I think Columbus has room, and they need some help. Boston really could use some help. And frankly, Calgary could use some help on the wing. I don't know if they have room for him.
No room there, but I think the third thing I mentioned to you will be Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville's an obvious one. Nashville has got gaping holes, as we looked at the other day. That lineup has got room for Granlund, Hoffman, and who else do you got?
Number 2 is Anthony Duclair.
KHL.
Number 3, Carl Soderberg.
Well, that's an interesting player because I think he's an effective third-line guy that can get you 15, 20 goals. And he can flex up to the second line. He can play a little bit of wing, too. So, I think he's going to get $4 million, $5 million, maybe for 1 year. And
do you believe, and again, I could be wrong, do you really believe he could accept $1.5 million for 1 year?
I don't know why he would do that. He's traditionally been a $4 to $5 million player.
Here's why. He's 36 years old.
Right?
He's 36 years old.
He's 30.
It's a COVID situation contract, and what happening right now? They don't have most of the team. 99.9% of team
now
have most of the player top 6 in the lineup.
Yeah, but you look, the guy had 16, 23, 17. He's a very consistent offensive guy, except for 1 year where the whole team sucked. And that was in Colorado. And every other year, the guy is very consistent. He's a second line to third line centerman that can also play wing. I can't see him. And he's never, his last contract was what, 4.5?
4.
I kind of think he's at least 3. Even 3 sounds low to me. He's not a 1.5 million. Look at Pierre. There's guys that have never scored anything in the NHL and they're getting 1.5.
Yeah, but the situation is different. That's my point here. I believe a team like Columbus don't have a third center.
It's not worth it because you think about it. If he's going to get 70%, he's not going to take 70% of 1.5. He's going to take 70% of 4.
No, never. You're never going to get over $2.5 million.
Yeah, totally will. Because he's probably more reliable than Hoffman. Nah, he's not.
No.
Hoffman at least will get you 25 goals.
No. The final one is Derek Brassard.
He already took a haircut.
He's already at $1.2 million.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. His contract was so cheap for what he brings. He's not lost anything. He's a very good player.
I think he's going to get 1.5 max again.
Man, I find that hard to believe, but maybe.
Oh yeah.
What was his offensive production last year? I think you're looking at guys that have nothing.
No, he got caught during the playoff. Healthy scratch.
What? He played 18 games in the playoffs. He had 8 points in 18 games.
Yeah, but he's a healthy scratch.
When?
A few games.
He played 18 games. How many playoff games did they play?
25, 23.
Well, because of the expanded schedule? because normally that would be like 3 rounds.
Well, that's what they play. But overall, I believe he got healthy scratch.
Let's just look. How many games did Barzal play? 22. So he got scratched 4 games. But look, Barzal had 19 goals and he had 11. Or 10, sorry. I mean, and then in the playoffs, Barzal had 17 points, which is obviously what you expect. So, like, to see that he's going to get like 7 or 8 or something, and then he gets $1 million, he already took a haircut and a risk on himself.
Do you take Soderbergh or Brassard?
I prefer Brassard, but Soderbergh's a big guy that doesn't play big, but he can do a lot of other stuff. So it's really kind of a tough call. I think Soderbergh's going to probably, I don't know. Brassard's got
I think Soderbergh.
Yeah, that's my thinking. Like Soderbergh's more versatile. I don't know. Brassard's really versatile. I just think Soderbergh traditionally is healthier.
All right. No, I'm offering you 3 players. Which one you take? Michael Grenland, Andres Atanasio, and Eric Hola.
Ooh. Probably Granlund. Granlund is like Holla, and any given day is good, but he's got injury problems. Athanasiou will break your heart. He's horrible away from the puck. You can't play him at center. You can't play him at wing. Where are you going to play him? What are you going to do with him? He's like a gaping hole on the team. You're playing shorthanded every time he's on 5-on-5. He gets 30 goals and lets 60 against. Yeah, I think Granlund's a good 2-way player. I prefer him at center, but he's a little small and he gets overpowered at center. But he's a good skater. He's creative and he can score.
All 3 players, I think they have a bad year last season.
See, Granlund to me still got 17 goals, and look at where he sits on that roster. Like he's like their 3rd leading goal scorer in Nashville. They walked away from him. Like who was their top goal scorer last year? Even Arvidsson had like 15 goals.
Yeah, a couple of things. I don't follow David Puel well right now because he take a lot of decisions where I don't understand. But I don't understand why he. You know what I mean?
I don't like the coaching change. The coaching change to me made no sense. They walked away from a guy that they gave up to get. They gave up Kevin Fiala, who's now the best player in Minnesota, and. So there's something weird there where players weren't getting opportunity. You see, Granlund's always been a 50, 60-point player, and now he goes to Nashville and suddenly can't get a sniff. They're not that good.
No.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Maybe there's a plan that we don't know about. But
okay. The next one I will say to you is Michael Frolik, Corey Perry, or Brian Boyle.
I kind of lean Boyle. Corey Perry, I don't feel is going to get you points. He's going to be a pain in the ass. He's going to be cheap. Boyle's going to be inexpensive, but he's a monster. He can take face-offs. He can score a little bit. I like Brian Boyle even at his age. To me, that's the guy you go for. Okay. What was the other one? Corey Perry,
Michael Frolik, and Brian Boyle.
I think Frolik's kind of had his best days, which they all have, but I think Boyle is still kind of the player he was like 4 or 5 years ago. He's just big, plotting, but he's so big and he can win faceoffs and kill penalties, and you're not going to do too much on the ice with him there because he's so big and he can score too.
Yeah, I agree with you with that one. Let's go with 4 right now. Connor Sherry, Riley Sheehan, Devin Shore, and Melker Carlson.
Ooh. You can only pick one? I think you could get any of those guys for $700,000.
You know what? Sherry was $3 million. Sheehan was only 900. Shore 2.3, and Carlson 2 million.
Those are guys that will take a haircut. I think Sherry showed last year that he's like going to flex between 3rd and 2nd line. He's not, his numbers were buoyed by Sidney Crosby, but he's still a decent player. You just got to have the right expectation. He's too small. He's fast. He can do stuff, but he's not going to be consistent. Riley Sheehan has no points in him, but he's going to play 4th line and he can anchor the 4th line. and he's just going to be a great two-way player. Shore's okay, you know, he's similar. And then what was the other one? I think that's the one I was thinking of.
Carlson, Shore, Sheehan, and
Carlson. So Melker Carlson, people don't really know much about him, but he's one of these guys that I don't get what the hell San Jose's doing, because he could be there for really inexpensive. He's not going to get you big points, but he's not going to hurt you 5-on-5, and he can kill penalties, and he's a good energy player. Like, to me, that's a guy that can be really useful in a lineup, and you probably get him for $700,000 or $800,000 right now.
Yep, I agree. Under 4, I really like Carlson.
I kind of do. If you could only pick one of them, he's not a centerman though, so I can understand why you might look at Riley Sheehan if that's what you were worried about. And Riley can play wing, but he's not going to get you any points. I mean,
yeah. The next 4, and that's a little bit. One of the two are maybe not the same style of player, but they are like 30 years old and older. Michael Grabner, Matt Martin, Brett Ritchie is only 27, but I would put him because of the side he played. And then I'm going to add Mikkel Borger or Borger. He played for Ottawa and.
Boddicker is junk. Boddicker is like falling off. He's got big contracts and sucked. Like, he's been terrible. So I think he's already gone, isn't he? He went to the Swedish league.
Why, he's still there, but I think
he should stay there. He's not meant for the NHL anymore. He doesn't go to hard areas. He's just overrated. Everybody knows he's done, I think, but nobody's going to spend money on him anymore. He's already cut his retirement.
What do you do with Ritchie, Martin, and Grabner?
No, not Ritchie. I don't trust Ritchie at all. He's not a great skater, and he's big. I think Grabner's got use as a third line guy that can get you shorthanded goals, and he's the fastest skater in the NHL maybe. Like, he can get breakaways if you use him correctly, and he's good in shootouts, I think, too, right?
Yeah.
So he's a useful utility player. What was the other guy that we were?
Martin.
See, Matt Martin's really interesting. He's tough. He can score a little bit. He really was a big part of that Cizikas line. So I think it's a toss-up. Overall, you like Martin because he's an unusual player. He's a tough player that doesn't get penalties, and he can contribute a little bit offensively, and he scares people.
I agree with you. I think I will take Matt Martin between those players. I think that's the right choice. I'm going to finish with 4 more, and then we'll go move on after that. Colin Wilson, Marcus Grenland, it's Justin Abdelkader.
Nope.
And Vladimir Soboka.
Nope.
And those players, Michael, they have over $2.5 million to $4 million.
I wouldn't take any of them. What was the second one after?
Marcus Grenland.
Yeah, you know what? You could get Marcus Grenland for $700,000. That's Mikhail's brother. You get them both. And Marcus is a good fourth line energy guy. And he can score a little bit if you put him in the right situation. And he's just like got a good motor. He doesn't stop. He's not as talented as his brother, but he's a good little speedster. You can get him for 700 G's, then he's better than the other 3.
Yeah. I think something like, don't know what happened with him. Colin Wilson
can't skate.
He had a couple of good seasons with Nashville at some point.
His wheels are not like the NHL got faster, and he was already average.
Yeah, but I think that the 4+ I mentioned to you, the Grenland is only 27 years old.
Yeah.
Justin and Vladimir, they're over 34, 35. I think you can get better player all the player we have on the list right now. I don't see really.
Sabarka can be useful, but he's been overpaid. Never met expectations. He can play center, play wing, but every time you've given him opportunity, he can't deal with it. So the Colin Wilson thing, the other thing I was going to mention is, I don't know personally the details of this, but he looks like he's too heavy. And maybe it's just the way he skates, because he's a heavy skater. Maybe that's part of it. But he just looks like he's he needs to be faster. I mean, he's not quick on the puck. And
I'm going to finish with 3 more because I just find those 3, and then I will be surprised. I'm sure you're going to get, but I want to talk about Trevor Lewis. He's maybe the oldest one of the 3, but he's on the right. He's UFA. Then Frédéric Gauthier, and then the last one, Drake. Is it Gagliola?
Caggiula? Yeah. Caggiula I don't get. Like, he can score. He's small, fast. He can play third line role, and he can get you 12, 13 goals. So I kind of like him. The guy that I was thinking of was
9 goals last season with
and look at his years before. Like, he's pretty good offensively. He's one of those guys that came from the Union team that won with Shane Gostabert in the NCAA. Like, I kind of like him. He's cheap. You could get him inexpensive, and he'll get you 12, 13 goals from the third line. And you can flex him up. He's shown he's fast. I think he's the best of those. What was the
Frédéric Gauthier, Trevor Lewis.
Trevor Lewis. The one that I thought you were going to say was Kyle Clifford.
Which one?
Kyle Clifford. I would really think about Cliffy if he was in that mix, because I think I don't know. Do you think I think he's kind of better than Lewis at this point.
Yeah.
And they're probably same money. I mean, he's not going to cost you much. He's tough, and he can score a little bit.
And now I'm going to move on to the next one. Today we're going to talk about the New York Islanders for sure. But before that, I have hold on. I have something for you, because right now is going to be, my friend, the question for you from NHL question. How many players you can write on the Stanley Cup when you win the Stanley Cup? How many people you can write on the Stanley Cup?
Names on your band?
Yeah.
I thought it was 50.
Okay.
But I don't know for sure.
55.
55? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but not school about the Tampa Bay where they put 52 names over there. And one goalie, Wellwood or something like that.
Wedgwood?
What?
Wedgwood?
I don't know. Is the last night. He's finished by Wood, if I remember. He's the third full goalie for the Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So he been to the bubble for Toronto and Edmonton, follow the team. He's the only one. His name is not on the Stanley.
Really? They didn't put it on. I think being in the bubble, you should get on the friggin' cup.
So they talk about administration people, Michael Peterson and Sylvia Kowalski, Rand Bellick, and then you talk about the equipment people, Jason Berger, and the mid-skull staff with Mike Poirier, Christian Rivas, and Brendan Rodger. And then you talk about the coaching.
Doesn't get on the cup for that.
The coaching staff. Part of that part that you have the management, like Mathieu Dash, Stacey Rose, and then Jimmy Bouchard.
Stacey Rose got on too.
I'm sorry.
We drafted his son, Austin.
Yeah. So
he's going to be a silver tip. Yeah, and what's interesting is we talked about New Jersey yesterday. Wedgwood re-signed with New Jersey yesterday. He was in Syracuse last year. That seems ridiculous to me. He was a real good OHL goalie. I knew him. I coached against him when he was 13 up. Like he was a 92. He was probably the best out of the 92 players. And the 92 players were like Tyler Toffoli, Johnny McFarland, Devontae Smith-Pelly, Sagan, Skinner. Those were the 92s. He was the only goalie really that came out of that. JP Anderson got a little cup of tea, but he was the best of them.
It's Scott Wedgwood.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I know Wedgwood.
I just want to let you know about that one over there.
I'm dead, Scotty. That's
pretty. You know what I mean? Like,
his dad in the summer, because we do summer league at in Brampton at the Powerade Center, and I'd always talk to his dad. Thought I could con him into coming to my team, but
that's funny. So I mean, it's really interesting to see that. I was not. I'll be honest with you. I did not know it was. I did not know it was 55. Honestly, um, and then I'll be honest with you. I never thought they can put over the players or the management. I thought it was only the manager, the coach, and the players.
No.
So
You put like jockstrap guy, and well, those are the trainers. So you can put the. I don't know.
No, but, I mean,
how many times is the name Devellano on the cup?
I know, right?
How many?
So today we are going to talk about the New York Islanders. It's really a franchise turnaround. But I have a couple of questions to you at the end of your presentation, because I looked deeper this morning and there's some move I don't understand. I want to be sure we can get that.
Yeah, and I don't know if I caught all of them, so I guess let's talk about it. But so, I mean, Islanders are maybe the best coach team in the NHL. I don't know if you disagree.
Absolutely agree with you. Top three. It's funny you talk about this. I was thinking to create like an article or a video about the best coach, like the 1 to 31 example, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, when you think about it, oh my God, it's not easy. Why to put him, Barry Trotz, what I mean, the top one versus to Claude Julien or Julien versus, but at the flip side, you have some players at the bottom where they are really easy to find it there. So
yeah, they're interesting. I mean, I think the one thing is, there's some decisions to be made on the cap situation. There's some players maybe you don't love in that scenario, but overall, it's relatively well managed. We know the big thing is, first of all, they've done a great job with this team. They lost John Tavares, and they've only gotten better. Like, who would have predicted that? Turns out Barry Trotz is better than John Tavares. So that's a pretty good trade.
Yeah, honestly, you're right. I think how many people said when he going to lose John Tavares, this team's going to win? Not many.
How many times did they make the playoffs with John Tavares? Never. And then you look, he moves to Toronto and they struggle in playoff situations, and you watch and you see why. As great as he is, there's just something missing there. But, I think it's really tough to downplay. Like, if Barry Trotz had John Tavares, this team probably would have been that much better. I mean, Barzal is absolutely one of the most talented high-end players, and they were tough on him. Like, they didn't just give him the reins. He got pulled back a little bit until he did what the coach wants. So they have a system there. Lou's always had a very structured environment. Barry Trotz is very similar, obviously. So I think that's a beautiful mix. Barzal is absolutely the most talented player on this team, which is a bit of a problem because they don't really have anyone of that level to play with them. Coming in, they see Grice sign in Detroit, which I think was fine. That was part of their plan. And the young star goaltender, or presumed star, Ilya Sorokin, comes, and he'll be the backup or the 1B to Varlamov, who played very well. I mean, he's
a lot from him, right? The words of the experts expect a good. They expect a good play from Sorokin.
Oh man, he is. I mean, I don't know. His numbers are phenomenal everywhere he's played in the KHL. He's a little bit older. He's a big goalie. He's very technically sound, good rebound control. Now he's got to do the job, but it's not like you're thrusting an 18-year-old kid into this role. He's marinated, so I think you know what you're getting. You can project, like, this is what's in my head. Is he Koskinen or is he Vasilevsky? Because he might be somewhere in between there, or he might, be the low end, right? But he's good. He's a very good goalie. And then now we saw the move out Devin Taves, and it seems obvious when you look at the cap situation why they did that and what Taves signed for in Colorado. And then when I can't remember, did they pick one of those picks already? We have to look at it. But, I think we realize how good Taves is now. He was kind of an under the radar guy. But they feel pretty comfortable that Noah Dobson's going to step into that role, and I think he will as well. Noah Dobson's young, but he's very good. I mean, he plays a very mature game. He's a little bit bigger than Taves, and he does a lot of the same sort of stuff. The asterisk for me right now we've kind of got Martin, Brassard on the sideline, and there's question marks around what they do with Komarov just because he's at $3 million. But you've got to think he's still in the mix a little bit for the season unless they move him or something. But Ken Bellows or Wahlstrom, so Kiefer Bellows or Oliver Wahlstrom are very similar players. They have the ability to score. They're absolutely atrocious away from the puck. They've been trying to work with them away from the puck so that they're not like a black hole. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them. I have to think that they will make the jump, especially if there's no AHL season, and that they might have some tough love moments with the coach. And you might see them get a Brassard, get a Martin back, because I think they want both of them. And inexpensive guys that can be relied upon 5-on-5, kill some penalties, and contribute a little bit offensively. And in the case of Martin and Komarov, they got some sandpaper. So, they don't have, you look at the upside, it's like Sorokin is a guy that you project at being able to be an excellent backup that maybe can become a number one in the next year or two. Dobson's a guy that can play top 4 minutes. They re-signed Ryan Pulak, which was probably a very good move. He's a guy with a big shot, plays big minutes for them. He's a real good D. I don't know if he's a traditional number one. My feeling is he's more kind of like a 2, but on this team, he's probably the best defenseman they have. I think in the playoffs, we saw what maybe most people don't get to see, which is this team plays a very structured game. They have guys like Anders Lee and Brock Nelson that are maybe not, flashy players, but they do a very consistent, effective job at what they do. Anders Lee is very dangerous around the net. He's impossible to move. He's like a mountain man. And Brock Nelson's a big centerman who can get points for you in a bunch of different situations. Josh Bailey, this guy, we didn't really give him a lot of credit, but he's a very good playmaker. He can score a little bit, and a lot of pucks go through him. I'm not a big fan of Eberle, but he's going to be the guy that plays on Barzal's wing because he's the closest to being able to play at that level. And then you see, they lose a little bit with Devin Taves. You've got to project that Dobson will probably get 20 points to take, some of the sting out of that. Leddy is what he is, right? He's a 3-4, exceptional skater, but the coach is always going to have to rein him in. Cizikas is I don't think people understand why this guy's so effective. He can play in any situation. He's always on the puck. He's a great little centerman. He's just a gritty guy that people love. He can get you some goals.
He's a 15 goal. The problem with him, I would say to you, is his injuries.
This year, yeah. Because he had the injury in the playoffs and he was injured in the season.
But he did not play any full year since 5 years.
That's a bit of a challenge then. He's not a big guy, right? He plays like he's 6'2" and he's 5'10". So the upside, they gave Kiefer Bellows a little cup of coffee and he came in and I thought he did pretty well, a couple goals, and he was a plus. So that's what you want from him. So I think that they'll manage that and he'll make the jump.
Can you put the screen bigger?
Probably not that easy, no.
No?
Okay. How about that?
Better.
Yeah. My buddy Piero Greco is there as the goalie coach. One of the better goalie coaches out there. Actually, Scott Wedgwood, funny enough, went to Piero Greco. Andrew Ladd came back in the playoffs. He did not look out of place, but he obviously missed the whole year. So it'll be interesting to see because that's a big contract. And they're not showing him on the roster as far as on a line. But you've got to think that, I don't know. He looked pretty good. Unless they can magically get rid of this 5.5, you probably got to figure out, can he play a regular shift again? He's had a rough time injury-wise. He's not a beautiful skater. But, he's
done.
Is he gone? Did they buy him out?
No, but my point to you, Lamb, he did not do anything since 2016.
Yeah, he's past his prime. And even in his prime, he was never a great skater, but he could get you points, and he was a good, tough, strong player. So I don't know. Does he get more than 4 games this year because he was hurt all year, right? You've got to project. The other guy I don't really know much about is Simon Holmstrom. So I don't know if you know much about him. He was a high draft pick last year for them. they've had a weird thing, and they signed Austin Zarnik, which I thought was interesting because he can actually play a little bit. So, he might be a guy that gets some, we're not really projecting, but might be able to flex into the lineup. Bodie Wild is interesting. I don't think he's ready yet, but that could be a player. And then Sebastian Aho, we know, can step in and pick up some kind of third pairing minutes. I don't know if he flexes up beyond that. So they're an interesting lineup. They have very good balance. They're very structured, and they give everybody an opportunity. They obviously
this is the best thing you never did since we do that. We can finally see the name of the players.
Oh, because I zoom in.
It was always because before it was like too hard. Like right now you can see perfect.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. I really like Pajot. I think he played very well in the playoffs for them. I don't think he's going to get the 25 or 27 goals that he had in Ottawa, but he'll be really good. And especially if they do flank him with the young guys, I can't see having both these guys on the same line. To me, that's really going to be weird. Michael Del Cole was such a high draft pick, but he's carved out a role for himself. He's just not going to be the 20, 30 goal scorer we all thought.
I think for what you're missing there, I think you're missing Komarov.
Komarov and Brassard.
And I think you're missing also
and I think they'll re-sign Martin at some point.
Yeah, but I think you're missing Johnson. He played a couple of games.
True. Yeah. It's hard to, I don't know how many, they have depth, right? Like they got guys like Johnson. They have, Andrew Ladd will do something. I don't know what. They're not going to pay him $5 million to sit around and do nothing. I don't know what the deal with Thomas Hickey is. He didn't even play last year, did he? Is he hurt?
He was hurt. He was on the long term or something.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. I don't know the situation there, but I think he's kind of past playing in the NHL probably. Boychuk, is getting expensive, but they don't have very long to ride that out. What's that?
Go back on your depth chart.
Where, here?
Your depth chart, So you mentioned about the forward. Let's finish with that part of there. Now you're missing Komarov.
Yep.
Johnson, and you're missing also I think Martin fit well, and you could also add Brassard there.
No, I think they'll eventually sign Brassard, is my guess.
So you know what I mean? Like the third line, I don't think so. Bellows and Holmstrom be there. I don't
think that they'll get a full season. I just don't see it. I can't imagine it. But right now, these Komarov's under contract. These two guys are not, obviously, and Johnson's under contract. But you've got to this guy's 21. At what point do you bring him in? They gave him a cup of coffee. He went through his apprenticeship. He's got to play.
Just curious, Michael, between Bellows, and I'm sure you have a lot of fans that listen to us about, like myself, who do you believe between Holmstrom and Bellows have more potential, or you think they are more ready? Or
it's really tough to say. They're very similar players. I think Holmstrom overall is probably better than Bellows. Bellows has got one skill. He can really score and shoot the puck. I don't know what kind of, I never thought he was a player that was in great shape. And frankly, I thought the same thing about Holmstrom. Holmstrom's skill level is probably a little higher than Bellows, and he's a little quicker. So I have to.
Both of them came from the USC program.
What's that?
Both of them came to the U.S. National Development Team.
Yep, exactly.
And their first round pick. Holmstrom was the weight with, remember, Noah Dunberg.
Way higher, though.
Back to back, right?
Yeah. I think Holmstrom is probably better. Bellows might be a little bit ahead of him, but not much, just in timing. I think they're very similar players with very similar upside and very similar risk. But I think overall, what does that translate to? I don't know. If you put a Holmstrom with Barzal, I think that's a better fit. I can't see Kiefer Bellows ever playing with Barzal.
By the way, Bellows is Brian's son.
Yeah. Yeah, that's his son.
One of the best players in the NHL.
He was a great player. Second overall draft pick or first?
He was there with Minnesota. Played for Montreal, but he was woof, he can score.
He was a good player, man.
Oh yeah.
He's not his dad, but you know what? Let's see. I mean, he was a great offensive NHL player. So he was drafted what? I can't remember if he was first or second. Second overall. So you think about that, like that's who was ahead of him? Was that the Lemieux draft? No, that was way before then.
It was Kluzak.
Oh my God. He would have been so good, but man.
After following him, it was Gary Nellen.
I know, isn't that crazy? And look down, there's better defensemen though.
Check that list. You're going to be scary.
It's crazy because how many of those defensemen's career were cut short by injuries?
Gary Nellen, Ron Sutter, Scott Steven, number 5, Phil Osley, number 6.
So I want to let's see. There's the one on that list. So Andrew Chuck was in that draft.
Dave Andrechuk, number 16.
Patrick Flatley was injured all the time.
17, 18, Cam Denico. And then you talk about Pat Flatley.
Yeah, always injured, but a good player.
He was a really good player over there.
So it was an interesting draft, but the best guy, look at who was at pick number 36 was Thomas Sandstrom.
Yeah.
That was Doug Gilmour was in that draft too. And he's in the 7th round. But think about it. Gord Kluzak goes first, right? Bellows was absolutely a great player. But the guys that went later, Andrechuk, Housley, Verbeek, Scott Stevens.
Gary Lehman.
Can you imagine Gary Lehman was in that. Can you imagine if you drafted Gary Nyland and you passed up Scott Stevens?
Pat Verbeek, Kevin Dinnan, Dave Reed,
Dave Ellett,
Yul Samuelson,
Tony Granato,
Dave Ellett, Bob Rouse,
my old buddy Mike Huff,
Ray Ferraro,
Bob Rouse was in there, Corey Millen,
Avison.
Yeah, it was interesting. Gord Kluzak could have been. Was he in that draft too?
Round 6. Wow. Followed by who? Tony Granato.
That's what I was saying. Granato, like.
Do you want a better one? Round number 7.
What was 7?
Doug Gilmour.
That's what I said. The first one. He had the most points. He had 1,400 points. He was the highest scoring player in that whole draft, and he was drafted in the 7th round. The second highest was Andrechuk with 1,300 points, and then Housley was 3rd at 12.
Kelly Miller.
I know, yeah, another good player, right? Like one of the Miller.
Over 1,000 game in NHL.
Oh yeah, he's a good player for a long time. And it's funny he was part of the trade to get Bobby Carpenter, wasn't he?
I think so.
It was Kelly Miller, Bob Crawford, and Mike Ridley for Bobby Carpenter.
He had a lot of good year with Rangers and Washington.
Well, mainly
Washington, yeah.
Yeah, was he the captain in Washington?
It was those years with Mike Garner, right? I'm not sure. I think he was. I don't think so because Rob.
No, Mike Gardner was gone at that point. I think it was more like Kevin Hatcher and
Rod Langway was.
Neil Hunter was there and Peter Bondra was there.
Pete Peters.
Pete Peters was the goalie?
No.
Don. They kind of cycled through some goalies during that.
Kolzig? No.
Eventually. Yeah, Kolzig eventually came in. Jim Carey.
So Len Way was there. Dale Hunter.
Dale Hunter was definitely there. I don't know about Langway. Maybe early on.
Was great in 1985 by Montreal.
Yeah, but that was Langway would have been gone by then, no?
No.
Yeah, I think he was done.
Langway?
Oh no, he's still there. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he still played. Wow. He played till the 90s. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
He was like the guy that would win the Norris Trophy, and you were like, what?
Another great Montreal screw.
Briefly. Well, who was he traded for?
Montreal?
Yeah.
They got for Washington, right?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Don't look it up.
No, I don't look. I look on the hair right now. It's not Rick Green.
No.
Rick Green is not coming for Washington.
No.
Rod Lang.
No, I'm sorry. Rick Green was probably part of that trade. He was part of that trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was part of the trade. So this is actually a crazy trade. It was Rod Langway, Brian Engblom, Doug Jarvis, Craig Laughlin for Green and Walter.
Ryan Walter.
Ryan Walter. So
yeah, Langway was he bring a lot for Washington.
Oh, he was a Norris Trophy winner.
But the reason why Montreal won the Stanley Cup in 1986,
yeah,
because Ryan Walter was a part of that part.
Maybe.
Yeah. And that because that year Patrick Roy came in.
That's why they won the cup.
Then maybe done that. We are far away from Islanders right now. Let's go back.
Yeah. So, all right. So if we do the math a little bit, you've got to project them probably, 200. This might drop. I think this probably drops. I think they get closer to, believe it or not, 180 to 200 goals. What I don't know is Sorokin. Like, I'm being conservative. I think if you look at last year's numbers, realistically, let's take a look back. I mean, yeah, it's probably about right.
How many goals?
They were 183 goals against last year.
No,
that was only in 76 games. So they're probably they're probably closer to 200 goals against. But we'll be conservative because we've got a new goalie here. Goals for, they have very good depth. I think that they're going to be fine. And some guys will pick these goals up because they traditionally get decent production from the third and fourth lines, and they'll get consistent production from the top two. I think you've got to say, they're a playoff team, probably the top third of the league. You got to give 7 or 8 points just to having Trotz alone. So I think they're kind of a 95 to 100 point team is my guess. Last year they were what? 35 and 23? I think that sounds right. Yeah, 35 and 23 and then 10 ties. The 10 ties to me say that's coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last year they were what? 80 points in 76 games. So I think they're kind of the 90, 95 point range. That's probably what I would project them as. I don't see any big breakthroughs from any players. I think until you get a really high end
20, 38 goal with the third line, I think it's not realistic for that with those players. But it depends. If you bring like Brassard, Komarov, or Johnson, you can maybe get about 30, 25 to 30 there.
I think you're going to get somewhere between 30 and 40 for the third line for this team.
Fourth line, I think 20 goal would be good. On the Islanders defensively, I think they going to miss
Taves.
I really believe they're going to miss him because he was really where Bolchuk and I don't, like Bolchuk.
Boychuk's risky.
So I'm not sure what happened with him, but still, they have a good four line, top four. I think maybe Mayfield we drop a little bit, or Lady we drop a little bit, but overall, I think
ideally you're right. I think ideally, I don't know if I think Dobson Fleck moves up. Boychuk, we don't know. We'll see. Hopefully he's healthy. Letty, ideally at this point, you gotta probably play him top four, but
let me finish fix my light because right now it's just cool bill.
So overall, I think we're gonna see it'll be a good season for them. They'll be very competitive. The upside is if either Bellows or Wahlstrom can actually pop through and become what they should be, which is 20 to 30 goal scorers, but I'm not convinced they will. I don't see that happening on this team, and I think that they're going to take time.
Honestly, at the end of the day, that's what happening with them. First of all, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pick next year, but they still have only $4 million on their salary cap, right? And
yeah,
they have to pay Barzell. and I really believe Barzell should get about $7.5 to $8 million.
I totally agree with that number because you're paying Anders Lee 7 and Nelson 6. I gotta think he's getting 7.5, 8.
Yeah, so
I think he wants 12, but I don't see that happening. He might.
No. He's going to be about $8 million there. Lee is $7 million. He's a RFA. He's only 23. He's going to get a bridge there. I mean, he can get $8 million for 3 years. And then after that, he can move on the next one. But my point
to salary clear out.
The point to do that, they would have to let it go Komarov,
Ladd,
or to figure out what happened with Andrew Land, or Johnny Bolchak.
Boychuk is a big rock, but that's going to expire. This one is weird. Like Pajot's got a lot of years left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years for Pajot at $5 million.
Yeah, because Ottawa just signed him last year.
Wow. So they need more than him to be. They need him to be more than a third line player.
He's very expensive a third line player, but he's a little bit like what Philippe Danault does for Montreal. But the problem he get is like Islanders have already Barzell in front of him, and then you have a Nelson. Now during the playoff, I really love Brooke Nelson. He's $6 million.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So they have a good contract. The only thing is going to happening there, it's the second part of the lineup, right? So Anders Lee, Nelson, Barzell, they deserve that kind of money, right? But the problem they get after that is that maybe Pajot a little bit too high. That's what he's supposed.
Eberle's too high. Look, he's 30 years old. He's got 4 years left at 5.5. So
then we have to go there with Land at 2 more. You have still 3 more years to go. Komarov at $3 million.
Yeah,
it's a little bit too high on that one. There. They have a good deal with Beauvillier at 2.1, but next year the RFA is going to be trouble. And then look, in 2 years, not this year, and 3 years, honestly, they have the top 4 player UFA, but Ike is out. Boychuk be out.
They got some problems, Pierre. I mean, look at this. So you got a 30-year-old Anders Lee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years left. That's $7 million. If he stops scoring goals, you got a problem. Now, I think his game is not dependent upon speed or skating, so it shouldn't deteriorate too much, but you don't know.
He scored so far. He deserves that.
Right? Like he got 20 goals. That's a risk, right? Nelson, he's 29 now.
But again, he's on his prime, so it's good contract at $6 million.
As long as he keeps, productive. Yeah. Beverly, did he even get 20 goals? How many goals do you have left? 18?
Because 25, 26 goals last year from Brooke Nelson.
Yeah, if he stays at this, you're very happy.
Now, Eberle did not reach 20 goals, but he will reach it because he plays 16 goals. He has 16 goals and 60, and then he scored 19 and 78. He's an average 20 goals there. The only thing he helping, he played with Barzell.
He's the only player, skill-wise, his hands are very, very good. And he's the only player that's close to being able to play with Barzell. But, what would really help this team is get rid of some of that salary, and you need a high-end talent on that line. Because, man, if Barzell had a sniper, right? If they had drafted, I don't know, let's say if a guy like Alexander Holtz had dropped to them, that's the type of guy you need that can just really fire the puck. Now, that might be Wallstrom, right? Wallstrom and Bellows can really shoot the puck. But what's the difference between that and Eberle? I mean, they're one-trick players, right? So it would be nice. If he had a really high-end player, you'd be excited.
Yeah, the problem is because they have to pay they have to pay Barzell for $8 million. So whatever you trade there, but imagine if they take off Bolchuk $6 million, Komarov $3 million, and then Land for $5 is $14 million. take the $14 million, turn around and go get Hoffman, and you sign Barzell, are you a better team?
I mean, probably. I don't know. I like Boychuk, but he's old now, and
I know.
a lot of miles on him. Like, and he's, I think Andrew Ladd. I think that's dead money. So I feel like if you could figure out how to get rid of Ladd and figure out you might have to give up a draft pick, right?
Yep.
Do you want to do that? I don't know, because they've done a really poor job of keeping draft picks. I think if you look over,
that's my last. We have 2-3 minutes before it's over. That's a thing subject. I was telling you. Look, 2020 they have nobody before the third round pick, and they got 5 players only. The number 19. Someone have to sell. It's not. I just see nothing with Baltic and Holmstrom. We don't know yet what could happen over there.
Like last year, 2 years ago was pretty good for them, right?
Yeah.
Wallstrom, Dobson, and Wild,
yeah, that's the right then. The following year after that, 17, we don't get anything from that part so far. But again, they don't have first round pick over there, Michael.
No.
All right. Now they get
big,
16. They got Bellows is the really one. They got a really great year. 15 with Barzell and Bouvillier. They hit their. This is a home run over there.
Yeah, but that was Garth Snow.
14, I did not agree with the Michael Dalcole.
It's too bad. Like, I really liked him. He was pretty clutch, and we knew he was a little choppy skater, but man, he's not turned out. He is what he is. He's carved out a role, but he's not like a first-line player. I mean,
but he get great to get Devon at 108 on that draft pick.
It was good.
They have a good one over there. They screw with Griffin, Reinhardt, and 12.
But traded that to get Barzal. That's a great deal. They get Beauvillier too.
Yeah, but again, they get well to get Adam Pilic and the 65 over there. They have an amazing turnaround. And
think about that. All of that is Garth Snow.
You know what? This has surprised me. I did not know that. They draft Nino Niederreiter.
Yeah. No, because he was a pain in the neck there, and then they moved him to Minnesota for nothing.
I did not know that.
Back, right?
I did not know that.
Significantly older. So he was a pain in the neck. I'm telling you, Pierre, he's a pain in the neck in New York. They want nothing to do with him after a while. Them to Minnesota, same nonsense. And now he's in Carolina, and they're burying him too.
They did well the early 2010 draft. But the last 4 years, they struggle a lot.
Yeah, those are the bars, because that's when Garth Snow actually did an okay job for what he had. He loaded up on prospects and tried to give them a chance. The Griffith Reinhardt trade's the greatest steal ever.
But we always remember the Islanders with Rick DiPietro.
Yeah, true. And so a fun fact that that Jimmy Devellano had 3 cups with the Islanders.
And then who's the second one? They did very bad contract after that.
I don't know what you're talking about. When
they did bad with DiPietro.
Oh, friggin' Yashin.
What?
Cashin Yashin. Terrible, Alexei Yashin. Oh my God. That was the Mike Miller.
Today, Michael, we talk about sometimes GMs, because they make 1 or 2, 3 bad decisions, it can affect the organization for years.
For sure, yeah.
And that's happened there. I really struggled for years because DiPietro, because this is a first overall pick, right? And then the UFA, I believe it was a UFA with Alexei Yashin from Ottawa.
Oh, they traded Spezza and Chara.
True.
Here's Chara. Here's Spezza. Give us Yashin. They signed a silly contract for a guy that was so soft and not team-oriented.
Wow.
And that was what was painful about that. I mean,
that's terrible.
Yeah. And the DiPietro one was a cluster too, because they had Roberto Luongo. He had just probably got to 40 or 50 games in his career. He was just getting ready, right? They trade Luongo.
Vancouver, right?
For Trevor Linden. And they trade somebody else with them. I can't remember who it was, but I can't remember if Kavasha was in that deal. And then what they got was so they could take DiPietro first, and they could have taken Danny Heatley or Marian Gaborik.
Wow. Is it the time was the Chinese guy was the owners? It was only like 20 team and the youth trial and the minor.
I don't know. They went through some real tumultuous things.
Is it Wonk?
Well, Charles Wong still owned the team up until 2 years ago. And I don't think that was Mike Milbury's time. And there was some really crazy ownership stuff going on with the Islanders. And I think it was before Wong. And I think Charles Wong, he was okay. But in the end, there was just a tough situation with the arena and Long Island, and it was just
that's another one. They switched the arena, now they are back and everything like that. So this struggle, it's good to have Lou over there. It's good to have Private Trust over there. Hopefully they can go for next. But again, you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, this year and next year, and then after that, watch out because that's going to struggle. They have a lot of UFA. They have to figure out something there.
Yeah, they got to start pulling in young guys and buying out old guys.
Yep. Great stuff again today. Tomorrow we're going to get one of the best team in the NHL in the next 2-3 years. Not this year, but the one is really on my belief. This team is maybe the best 3 team in the future. Tomorrow, New York Rangers, excited about that organization to see what they're going to do. But another great day, Michael, to bring the Islanders preview 2020-2021. And hopefully we're going to start in January 1st because right now we are on the slum of news. We don't know what's going on around the league because it's boring. Nothing happened right there.
Yeah, hopefully.
And you know what? The sad thing about this, nothing happened there, but also nothing happened CHL and you know what I mean? It's everywhere right now. So,
no, everybody's in flux. I mean, the political situation's bad for us,
Yeah. By the way, I just want to mention this. You have a chance to watch an amazing Sportnet article about Howie Maker.
Howie Meeker. I love Howie Meeker.
It's amazing to watch. Go there on the Sportnet, Marco. It's really great.
I can't get it because I'm in. How do you get it?
I go on their website, sportnet.ca.
But it blocks me.
They block you on videos, but not on the article.
Oh, it's an article. Okay.
Yeah.
Send it to me.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to the Hockey Nation live show. And, of course, follow us on Facebook page and, of course, on YouTube channel. Look forward to see you tomorrow, 11 o'clock Eastern time. Have an amazing, great Thursday, everybody. Thanks, Michael, for everybody, for everything every day on the 31 days marathon and 31 different things. See you tomorrow.